Hello and welcome back. I have recently realized that I've never actually introduced myself in like a story time sort of way. So I wanted to do that. So I'll begin by saying hello, I'm Felicia. And yeah, I do YouTube videos, but I wanted to start a little bit before that, basically to the beginning of, I feel like, when all of this started in my life. And I don't know, these bigger dreams that have manifested, because I feel like not a lot of people talk about how long it can even take to get to the point to start something, or to recognize what you want to start, what you want to do, how you want to feel. It can take a long time, and I feel as though sometimes we just see when someone pops off, because that's when they pop off. Like, that's when they enter our field. And it's hard to go back, and it's not that you need a roadmap, like, or to follow their roadmap, but other people's roadmap, I feel like, really have inspired me in the past and inspired me for this. So this is my sort of, in hindsight, roadmap to how I've gotten to where I am now, which is still 100% on the journey and enjoying things, but definitely feeling like I have nowhere specifically to arrive anymore, and that I just get to be and exist in every single day and show up, which is how I've actually wanted to feel this whole time. So I'll start kind of at the beginning. I would say the starting of really recognizing that I wanted kind of a different business model, I already worked for myself, but I was definitely hiding a lot in what I was doing, just on a soul level. I wasn't able to put all my thoughts out there, all my creativity in that business out. Like, it really didn't um breed that expansion. And so in 2023, I realized that I did want that expansion. I think there was a period of time where I just didn't realize that that's what I wanted in my life. So then you have that moment where you kind of wake up and see, this is what I want. I do want something different. And I don't know what that looks like. Like, I don't know if it's that I want something different, you know, in addition. I don't know if it's something that I want different that is completely replacing, like, financially, and all that stuff. I feel like it's hard to sort of recognize that when you're first realizing, like, oh, I think I want to run a business. I think I'm meant for more. Like there is that just vague energy that you're like, I'm meant for more. What does that even mean? What does that look like? Um, all that stuff. And I think that can be one of the most frustrating and expansive and exciting places to be. But in the moment, sometimes it cannot feel expansive and exciting, because you just recognize this new desire and you want to be right there. So 2023 was kind of all about, like, well, what does that look like? What can I do? And really exploring exploring a bunch of different things. Like, there's a lot that, I don't know, you can be curious about, and just, you don't know until you know. And it's important to take that with everything that you want to try. And if you fail at it or end up not liking it, continue to recognize that you're in this experimental phase. I mean, you're kind of always going to be in an experimental phase in a way, but the very beginning can feel kind of crazy. Like, I don't know, I wanted to try out doulaship, and I did a doula course for postpartum, and I learned a lot of information. I had a lot of friends having children at that time, so it was really beneficial for that. But yeah, ultimately realized that's not something that I wanted to commit to as like a long-term business. So yeah, you're gonna take courses, you're gonna like not, I don't know. I'm still really glad I took that, like no regrets. So anything that you try within this time, you just have to kind of detach from like, I'm going to be a doula, detach from it and be like, I'm going to see if I like this. Like everything is just seeing if you like it, seeing if it's something that you actually want to put more time and energy into and continue processing. I do remember that summer I worked with some one-on-one clients, and I did a lot of free calls that summer with people that I was connecting with. No, that was 2024. 2023, I think, was still because I started YouTube in 2024. Maybe that was 2025. I'm only saying this because I remember connecting with someone via YouTube and like doing a call with her. So I'm like, I don't know the timeline of whenever I did that. But I've always wanted to try like coaching and working with people one on one because I feel as though the coaches I worked with one on one really changed my life. And so much of it was like figuring out and discovering how I help people and how I clarify for people and the transformation that I'm providing for people. But I ultimately had to be my first client first and coach myself and really build this foundation of energy and thought patterns that I wanted to carry on and wanted to help people with. And so I think 2023 was just the beginning of that. And I remember, I think that's when I started. Oh, maybe I didn't do that much in 2023. It was just the ideas were starting in 2023, I think is what it was. And I just didn't know where to put it. Like, it was definitely the chicken and the egg situation. Like, do I build up a platform or do I just like try to do business without building, like, yeah, building a platform? Like, what am I offering? I had no clarity. I just had this idea that I wanted something different and I wanted things to feel different in terms of business. And I just felt really stuck, honestly, in general, because I was having so much financial success at what I was doing that it almost stifled me in a really big way that year because I was only fixated on what could replace my entire income seamlessly. Like it was like, how can I not make money here like this much after I've built this for years and make that much month one new thing? Like that's the only way I wanted to transition at the time. And obviously that just wasn't the reality, and that's not really how things work when you're transitioning. And it really kept throwing me for a loop because it was just like, well, I need to replace this income. And it's so hard to do two things. Or for me, it was really difficult to imagine doing two things at the time. I think I could have done it. But I was also in a physical state of fatigue. I was that was also the first year I was healing my thyroid and getting my energy levels up. So I think I was doing the best that I could that year. And looking back, yeah, it's like, could I have done more? And I think I'm looking back with the context of I could have done more that year with the energy I have now, and like thinking back to the time freedom I had then and all that stuff. But I think I was doing the best that I could with the energy levels that I was able to have, and, taking the time to fix the thyroid more naturally, because my family had had a history of issues, and, I just didn't want, there was a lot with that, and honestly, at the time, I did feel really called to share about that journey, but I get so nervous sharing anything health related because it is so personal, and I understand that everything I'm ever talking about is really personal towards a person, like the way you're going after your dream life is personal and all that stuff. But obviously there's a lot, like, in terms of health and stuff, you do not want to give advice that someone could potentially misuse in a way that could hurt them. And I don't, and still don't, and didn't at the time have like any way to back up the things I was doing and in terms of any certifications nutritionally or anything. So I wouldn't have wanted to give nutritional advice or anything, and it felt really difficult to toe the line of like, I really want to share this thyroid journey and this energy journey, because thyroid is what creates the energy in your body. But I don't really know how to approach that without being like, you should do this diet, you should do this. It's almost as though I just really wanted to share my journey and how life changing it was for me, um, in a way that was like, look into your thyroid. If you're feeling really fatigued, if you don't have the energy that someone in their 20s should have, um, or I mean, even older, like the thyroid can help you throughout your whole life. So anyway, that was 2023. It was really like recognizing that I wanted something else, recognizing that I just was so fatigued and didn't have any energy and needed to heal my thyroid, taking the steps to do that, which I probably didn't feel like 100% in my body and in my energy until about a year later. But everything that I was doing nearly immediately, like maybe the first month to the first 3 months, was a big change in terms of how I felt getting up every day and all that stuff. So it was definitely like a longer journey, but really glad I started it then. And then in 2024, I started working with a coach, and I don't know, I think I kind of took the winter off in terms of like thinking about business. Like, winter before for me was very hard, and now that I love my life and I love myself, winters are actually so chill. Like, I don't, and the thyroid, honestly, healing that has made winters so much easier. I still have energy throughout the winter. Um, take your vitamin D and take a lot of it. Yeah, that's what I would say. Talk to your doctor. There's a butterfly on my marigold right now. Um, so then we move into 2024. I started with my first coach over that summer, and I really started, like, went into working with this coach as I want to do business. I want a new business. I'd love to be a coach. Like, what's this like? I'd love to be someone who like hosts retreats and does all this. Like, it was all very vague stuff. I couldn't really conceptualize it in a way that made sense. So, but in my head, I started this coaching journey, or yeah, I started the coaching with someone in order to start my business and really get that off the ground. That is not what happened, but something even better happened, I'll say. So, throughout this process, like, one of the first things I feel like we worked on was self worth. And what makes someone worth knowing was like one of the first questions that was asked. And literally, the next day after I was asked this question and like meditating on it, one of my friends had a baby. And it was funny because all my self-worth stuff was stemming from like, who do I feel is worth knowing? This person, this, like, my favorite YouTuber, my favorite this, my friend, like, whatever. I was like listing all these attributes of things that were feeling worth it to me. And they were all also a list of things I didn't personally do, just things I admired in other people. So, of course, if that's my metric for worth, I couldn't see the worth in myself. But when my friend had her baby, it really dawned on me that, like, this baby is worth knowing, and this baby doesn't do anything at all. Doesn't have these cute routines, doesn't have like all these things that I'm listing, has none of these attributes, is literally 24 hours old. um, Worth knowing. And so then it just dawned on me, you're worth knowing because you exist. And that was just a new locked in belief, very anchored in from that moment on. And it just made everything in the context of myself more. And it made me start thinking, like, I would take walks, I would see animals, I would see squirrels and chipmunks and horses and cows and like all this stuff. And I would literally consider this prompt over and over of like, I want you to have the best life. Like, you just see a horse and you're like, I just want you to have the best life. And that's how the universe thinks about you. I just want you to have the best life. Like, I'd do anything for you. Or that's how I feel about animals. So it was easier for me to kind of tap into this energy with animals, being someone who doesn't have kids or the desire to have kids. So um, that was like interesting. And then we discovered this desire to have a YouTube channel throughout that coaching experience. And I didn't even, that was not the plan. Like, I was planning, like, how do I make money? I was very like still in the process of like, I want to shift careers, but I want it to be seamless, and I want to basically replace my entire income easily and abundantly. But as we were talking this through, it was sort of like, yeah, that can still be a desire, but really what I was missing was self expression. And I've just gotten my own self worth. So now it's, oh, I could do something that feels more expressive and creative. That's what I want to do. I've kind of always wanted to do YouTube a little bit. I've never really named that desire in a big way. Like, I think I traveled the world when I was 18, and I did it because of a YouTuber that I followed who was kind of a nomad and had all these tips and stuff. Like, she literally had a like basics to flying video that I had never flown before and like had to watch. And she was, literally like, okay, you get your ticket, you find your gate on these screens, will be these gates, and you can, like, you have to find, like, literally like step by step how to find a gate at an airport and take a flight. Like, was the level of travel I'm middle of nowhere, Kentucky. No one traveled internationally. Like, um, yeah, so that was really interesting. But from there, on my travels when I was 18, I really wanted to do YouTube, but obviously just didn't have the equipment, barely had the money to travel. Um, Thought about it. I think I tried to do like one little vlog that I put up on Facebook for my family, and then I was just done. Like, no, it didn't work out. Um, but yeah, I think that always had been a deep-seated desire. I loved watching vlogs and stuff like that. So that's where I wanted to start. And I was still very anti active work, I think. Like, in a way, I kind of wanted to work with clients still and think about that a little bit, but as soon as I started vlogging and stuff, I just the job I had before was really passive, so it was just like, yeah, I can only do passive things. Like, my time freedom is so important. I don't want to fill up my time. Like, I don't know. It was a weird sort of process. But I started vlogs and it was just like, yeah, I could get to 1,000 subscribers. Like, I could get monetized and do that really quickly. And even right away, it was like, it's not about monetization. I just want to be creative. This is really filling me up. And all those things were true, but I was still deeply thinking and heavily thinking about switching jobs. Like, that was basically running the back of my mind so often and so much. And just like, I'm meant for more. I'm trying to do all this stuff. I'm still not really clear, but I'm gaining a ton of self-worth, and I'm being creative again for the first time in a long time in a new way. I know how to approach this creativity in kind of a better way than I feel like I would, um, I guess, in a different, like, I actually had also tried YouTube specifically, like, in 2022. Um, and I think it's all down now. I only did like 2 videos because I was going on a road trip. And I'm honestly really, really glad that that didn't work out, because I think this whole time I thought I could only do YouTube or be worth knowing if I was doing something really fun. Ergo, only trying to do vlogs when I traveled. And like, I would have had, if I would have made my living or my YouTube into some sort of travel vlog sort of thing, I would have thought that I was only valuable or worth knowing if I was doing something interesting, like an interesting thing. I don't think I would have ever been able, or it would have been way harder to get to the point where I thought that my truth and my words and my stories were valuable in any way. It would just been harder to shift that, and I would have been stuck having to be a travel vlogger in order to, like, make that work or make that living or make vlogs and stuff. I would have just been like a little more locked into that, I think. So I'm glad it didn't work out, but I was learning how to learn to do YouTube. I was learning how to work through the frustration, through doing something that I didn't really know how to do in a way that was actually really kind to my body and my creativity, and just made it really fun. Like, I just genuinely had a lot of fun. There was a little bit of that monetization desire and energy sort of running in the back of my head a little bit more. But it felt like the first time I was ever taking action for my big dream, whatever that was. Like, still very unclear what that was at this point. Um, so I could just sort of lock in and go there and make my vlogs and stuff. And I freaking love vlogs. I love all the vlogs that I've made. But I can definitely see now where I was still hiding parts of myself within them. And I mean, I'm probably going to look back at these talking videos and stuff like that later, and consider like, oh, this is ways I was still hiding that, like you're always going to have these layers. But knowing that you're doing exactly what you can and need to do at any given time, I feel like is the secret sauce. And I know that the vlogs are exactly what I needed to do at that given time to start and to really go for something and to just give myself permission to try something new and creative, basically. So I kind of ended that. Um, and throughout this whole coaching, I also really wanted to move. I had wanted to move out into the countryside for a long time. And we were able to work a lot on, like, detachment, basically. I was really over importancizing making the goal of the house like way too important in my sphere, like as if I couldn't do anything until I got the house. I actually even was like, oh, I can just start a YouTube channel after I get my dream home, because it needs to be aesthetic and it needs to be all this stuff. And that was just not the reality and not true. And so we worked on that of like, I also wanted chickens. I got chickens in the city. It was so much of just detaching, like, why do you think you can only bake bread in the countryside if that's what you want to do? Like, you have an oven. You have an oven. I don't even have an oven right now. It's broken. I'm going to fix it today. I think it's an easy fix. But yeah, like, I was just really romanticizing the countryside, and there were so many things that I was able to do before moving here that really anchored this energy in and truly allowed me to just have fun where I was without needing it. And then it came in, of course. Like, that's kind of how it happens. So we worked on that a lot. And so I ended that. And then within 30 days after that, I got my dream house, and it just happened so seamlessly and so naturally, and it was honestly kind of crazy. I was genuinely feeling this like I'm fine where I'm at, and then yeah, it all worked out. So I try to copy paste and apply that to all the other things that I want now. But it can be hard when I mean, I was so fixated on moving and like finding my dream home for a really long time too. And so the timing is just not a coincidence, as soon as you feel okay with it, you get it, like it's just, yeah, it's not a coincidence. If you're looking at the timing, it's never a coincidence. But anyway, after that experience, I also, in the same week that I moved, I went on a retreat that was already booked with this coach and her podcast co-host at the time, and got to meet some amazing women. I felt really good, even though I was like actively moving that week. It was like, well, this is already booked. Like, I'm going to go, I was really able to dip into presence, and I just genuinely loved that retreat. On that retreat, I decided that I also wanted to work with the co-host of that, and I didn't until further into that winter, but we just had such a great connection over that retreat that I was like, I want to work with you too. And I had that winter. It was kind of that is bringing us to 2025. So I had that winter at the new place. I'm still doing my vlogs. I think at this point I'm not as business focused in terms of like, I'm just monetization focused. Like, I'll get monetized and that'll be it. I was still very much so like, I'm wanting this passive thing. And all this stuff. Like it was really interesting. I think the scarcity of the time freedom would really get to me if like I couldn't imagine being booked and busy, and the soft life was starting to feel kind of hollow in a way. Like I really enjoyed my vlogs, and I really enjoyed really focusing on like these beautiful things in the world and creating beauty. And I don't think I could really understand how that gave anyone else value. But then I would always circle around to like, oh, this is just for me. Like, I really like vlogs. And I did. Yeah, it was kind of a confusing sort of like, I want monetization. The monetization is what's going to be my business because it's passive more so, in terms of like I just decide when I do my work and no one has me booked or anything. But I still want to run a business. I still, like, at this point, I think I was thinking of like retreats and coaching still and like all that stuff. Still not a lot of clarity and not a great foundation, I think, for myself and what I wanted to do, but still a lot further than going back to 2023 and having all that fatigue. And like I'd made a lot of progress. I believed in myself, I believed in my worth, but it was still taking like no steps forward in the business or really like understanding what that was. And again, I think it was this chicken and the egg of like, I need to master something before I can like have the clarity to do anything with that. Like it was sort of like I need, X amount of subscribers before I could ever talk about YouTube. I need, yeah, it's like this numbers game. So you're playing this numbers game and you're still not very clear is what was happening to me. And I started the business coaching with the other co-hosts of that retreat that winter. And it was more somatic. It was still, looking back, not entirely about business in a way. I feel like I got a lot more clarity and understanding about business things. But we were mostly working somatically, I'd say. And like, what does that feel like in your body? And doing a lot of breath work and stuff, which is really fascinating. I'd love to do more of that, honestly, for myself. And I really enjoyed that experience. But still, at the end, I felt like I still don't have this like clarity in my business vision. And so much of it was like the scarcity mindset around picking the right thing. Like almost this fear that I would trap myself and get myself stuck in something I might not want to do forever because I don't even know what I want to do yet. So, of course, I couldn't. Okay, sorry, my chickens wanted a field trip. But anyway, and it had nothing to do with a coach like not landing on business things, and it had everything to do with me still needing a really good foundation for what I wanted to do next in my life, and believing that no matter what I chose, like even the questions I was asking, what's the right next thing to do, was really telling that I still thought that there was a right next thing, and this pressure and scarcity on the next thing being correct. Whereas there is no right, there is just next. And whenever you trust yourself, you know that you can alter and pivot and trust that you're going to pivot. And I think I still was having a hard time with self-trust even throughout all of this. And I didn't know it at the time. So it was just sort of like, I'm just going to do my vlogs. I'm just going to try this and that here and there. I still like feel really uncomfortable marketing and talking about any offers or anything. I still just don't see the value, see the worth yet in myself for others. Like I was feeling a lot of like, I am worthy to myself, but I was still projecting an unworthiness when it comes to the context of other people perceiving me. So I was still hiding a lot. And again, just sort of went through the summer, through the winter of 2025, like kind of doing very similar things of just like posting my weekly vlog, not really knowing a direction, not really knowing what to do still, and still deeply and desperately wanting to work with women, work with others people, figure that aspect of business out, and feeling that energy of like, I'm meant for more. I'd love to host retreats. I'd love to do this X, Y, and Z. I just still don't know where to start. I believe it was 2024, I did host a writing retreat with some of my writing friends, like not, you know, no one that I didn't know, but I just had a lot of writer friends. So we were all writing a book. In fact, 2 out of the 4 of us have since published and gotten 3 book deals. And me and the other girl are definitely next. So I would love to do more stuff like that. And I was like testing with my friend, like it was just like, let's split this Airbnb and I'll like basically pretend to run, like, run this thing, host this thing, so that I could imagine myself doing it for other people I don't know, and like other people I want to work with. So there was that energy, there was that momentum, there was this like, I believe I can do it, but still not like crossing that finish line at all, or like starting up my business in a real way or a tangible way, or believing in myself enough, really. And just also comparing and seeing everyone online like start their things and do their stuff, and just feeling like, when is it my turn? When will I feel that way? When will I feel that clarity? What needs to happen to feel that clarity? And then it wasn't until about New Year's 2026 that I was just like, I got to this point where I was like, I've got to quit playing like invisibility tag with myself, basically. I'm never going to give up on this stream. Like, one, the stream has been going on now for years, and like, yeah, it was just like, I'm not going to give up. So why am I so fixated on the numbers? Why am I so fixated on whatever I'm doing, replacing my entire income in 1 month, and not just going through the due process of starting up the business, and being okay with it not replacing my income, month 1. Like, why am I delaying this when this would actually be the thing that helps me start? And I really noted then that it was a big capacity issue, like feeling like I didn't have the capacity, recognizing that, oh, I do have all this time freedom, and I'm scared to commit to calls and like all this stuff. And finally recognizing that I actually didn't want to work passively. I didn't want to just create things and like have them, like that can definitely be an element, like the kitchen sink series it's a passive thing now because I'm not actively working on it, but I put in those 21 days with the group that came into that then, And that was still really challenging for me into like, hmm, is challenging the, like, not challenging like hard, but like challenging, like, that was challenging my belief of something not being 100% passive, and realizing that I really wanted to be active. And I loved interacting with all those women while they were going through it and everything. So early 2026 was finally when I was like, I don't, why am I trying so hard to have this like time freedom when I've had all this time freedom for since about 2021 now, and it's actually not what I want. Like my deepest desire is actually to connect with women and run a soul-led business. So why am I pushing the aspect of that away so hard in the name of continuing to have immense amounts of time freedom? Because the honest to God truth is I would still have a ton of time freedom with this. It would just be that I'm really intentionally working with people and booking calls and a little bit busier, but the busyness honestly makes the days off sweeter, and like the days off make getting to do the work funner. Like it's fun all around. It's you finding your correct contrast. And I didn't know my correct contrast for a long time. I'm still working on that, on what feels really balanced for me. But naming that I don't have to have everything passively. I actually do want to be hands on, elbow deep in the mud of what I'm doing. I don't know if that analogy is weird, but so that was exciting. That was like, okay, Janie, like we're figuring out the capacity thing. We're still doing YouTube. We're still all this stuff. And I was feeling really activated to start daily on YouTube, start talking on YouTube more. And I didn't know that talking on YouTube would kind of overtake the vlogs. I never foresaw myself not wanting to do vlogs. But I also didn't see that vlogs were allowing me to hide what I actually wanted to be doing still. And as of this moment, I don't think vlogs themselves are gone forever. I think I'm just in the season where I'm finally allowing myself to be a little bolder, share my truth a little more, and feeling really activated by that. And I think it's just going to make vlogs better when the energy of vlogs come back around, because I know they will. Or I deeply feel like they will. But right now, it has been really like just activating to come and talk and share my truth and all of that. Which brings us to March of 2026, where I started the Kitchen Sink series because of myself. There's a butterfly. I don't know if you can see it. And that was the launch of my business. And I didn't even know. Like, I think I literally started the lowest quality video I'd ever done because it was on my phone. I'd never done a video on my phone, but I was just taking a walk and I was just like, something's on my mind. And it was like, I'm building my self-trust at my kitchen sink. How can I imagine, being this business owner, this creative shower upper, and I can't even do the dishes every night. Like, I still struggle with that. So that was kind of where I started. I was already doing a 30-day challenge of writing on Substack and stuff. So yeah, I think it originated as a Substack article, and then I just made it into a video, and a lot of people resonated. And then I started a group. Like, I was like, okay, what if I create audios for people to listen to about self-trust while they're doing the dishes. Like that's sort of the whole point. And I was like, this is so random, but I'm going to do it. Someone might get it, you know? And that's where I knew that it actually felt really different and actually felt like a genuine sort of launch of a business rather than all these vague, frilly ideas, because it was just something so naturally that I needed for myself that then became a reality on for others. And now, and then it was a live group that I did for those 21 days. And now it is something you can get still and just do self-paced if you're curious about the audios or whatever. And that felt really good. And all the way up to this point, then I did my 30-day YouTube challenge, which was also a very pivotal challenge for me. And now we're here basically. And it's all come to the fact that I feel a lot more clear after all of this. I feel a lot more clear on that whatever I want to offer will naturally come to me as my own self-expression. It doesn't need to be like this, I don't know, very put together. Like the kitchen sink series was a very specific idea. I didn't create any of those audios in advance at all. I trusted, like the whole thing was about self-trust. So I actually had to trust myself as the creator to show up every day. Or else it wouldn't be it wouldn't have the juice it needed for exactly what I was talking about. Like if I didn't trust myself enough to show up every day and create those audios for everybody, like it would have just gone against exactly what I was talking about in the group or what the group was for. And that sort of made me realize that I didn't need like to be where I thought I was in numbers and views and all this stuff in order to actually make a real impact with a group of people. And so that was really pivotal for my brain. And it actually made me understand and realize that, like, sorry, I'm trying to see if my chicken wants out or not. I think she's okay. It actually made me understand and realize that, yeah, I just didn't need to have everything so perfect the way, like, I didn't need to have the followers before I started my business, which was brand new information for me. And I actually also didn't need the follower, like the people that I thought, the numbers that I thought I needed in my head to, like I said, make an impact. I think I just said that. Sorry, I'm losing my thoughts a little bit. But that was just really a really interesting, like, realization. And now I'm to the point where I know that everything that I want to offer is going to come up so naturally for me and light me the fuck on fire. Like it's just going to light me up, and that's when I'm going to know that it's right for me. And it might be as random as the kitchen sink series, but it might make a lot of sense, like my 30-day challenge creation that I am doing now. And like that's been really fun. And after all of this, I've decided to run another group because I feel like I loved the group. I loved the kitchen sink series. I loved the group of that. And I almost was thinking about making it like a 30-day YouTube challenge specifically, but it's just going to be a 30-day creative challenge for women who are like ready to do a creative challenge for June, whatever that is for themselves. The thing about YouTube was that it it was like a visibility thing. So it's a 30-day visibility challenge, but it doesn't have to be social media. That's why the group is going to exist, because you still, I think, need that accountability. Like, I had the accountability of it being public on YouTube and telling people I'm committing to this for 30 days and sticking to that. That was what drove me on the 20% days. And if you just are like, I'm just going to try to, paint for 30 days, but you're not doing it on any social media, you don't have any accountability, it's so much easier to quit on those 20% days, because who the fuck cares, or who no one's no one's after you. And no one was after me for YouTube or anything. I even had a video of that, of nobody cares, is that going to stop you? It's really you taking care of yourself and committing to yourself for those 30 days for the first time, typically, in your career, in your what you want to do to actually see the needle move forward in your dream. So what the group does is it's that accountability thing for you on those 20% days, especially if you're doing something that is off of social media. Because I just know a range of creative people, and I've connected with a range of creative people. But here's the thing too, where it's a visibility thing, I'm also going to make sure that whatever you choose to do is pushing you a little bit. Say, long form video was every day was pushing me. So say you wanted to do Instagram daily, it's not going to be, or short form in general, it's not going to be just one short form video a day, unless you're having if it's taking you about an hour to do one short form, maybe, because it was taking me about an hour or longer to do my daily YouTube videos. So that was the push, was I am showing up for an hour every single day, right? So if a short form only takes you 20 minutes, we're going to do 3 or 4 of those in a given day, right? So it's still pushing your visibility and pushing your knowledge of your creative source. But yeah, you can ask me about helping you customize that 30-day. Otherwise, it's just going to be the group and you get to decide your own challenge, but you'll be in the group. There'll be 5 to 10 minute pep talk audios every day from yours truly, as someone who has been through multiple 30-day challenges and thinks that they are really pivotal for moving the needle towards your dream, showing yourself that you have infinite creative source, and proving that you can trust yourself to keep promises to yourself, maybe for the first time. And it's promises to yourself for only you. You know what I mean? I feel like it's easy to, if you promise to be the person in the family that cooks that night, you still have that little bit of I'm still doing this for somebody else, so I'm going to stay committed to that experience. Whereas this is just for you, just for your creative dream. And it is so crazy to finally do something for yourself if you've still sort of been in the rut of it for a really long time. So that just feels like the natural next thing to offer in my journey. And that's where I'm at. And I just wanted to take the time to share that deciding to go after your dream life and building your dream life brick by brick can take a really long time. And it's okay. I would much rather still take this time and still have done everything I've done over the past 3 years than continue waiting and wondering, what if I had started? What if I had tried? What if I got over myself? What if I took the action? What if I learned about all my blocks and all this? There was just a point that I realized I would never give up this dream. So might as well go all in on it. And that's the story of me, and basically kind of the history of me in terms of like where I've been at the last 3 years on a more creative business side, I'd say, is what this talk was about. There's so many facets to it. There's so much to it, but it's truly so fascinating. And I feel like I've just never really heard or found someone who really admits to, it taking a long time and like sharing that timeline and letting that timeline be okay. And actually quite enjoying the timeline. Like there were definitely moments of frustration within this timeline that came up, but ultimately I know that everything that I've gone through here and all the time that it's taken, it took this long because I had to know that it was all coming from within and that nothing in the outside would give me any of the feelings that I needed on the inside. And so going into starting a business like that feels so much more grounding than trying to grasp at this business to secure me, to make me feel good, and to like be all these different things for me. You know what I mean? So that's why I think it's taken as long as it has, and why it's so important to let the timing of it be okay and feel good. And that doesn't mean you're not going to have the days of darkness and like, why isn't it here yet? And like all those things. That's another thing that I really love to talk about. But yeah, I think I'll leave it at this because I know this has been longer, but I really appreciate you staying around. If you've made it this far, you must really be connecting with me and my journey, and I would love to hear about your journey and your timeline, um, of your dreams. And if you are ready for that action phase, and you want to join the 30-day group visibility challenge, it's going to start June 1st. And it's going to, yeah, it's going to start June 1st. So you can join down below. I'll have the link to that. I don't think I have like a video explanation of it up yet. I might not get to that today, but I will get to that soon. But I've just explained it to you, so you know. But I'll have that linked down below for you to join the pre-sale early access, which will also be a little bit cheaper if you get before June 1st. And yeah, this was the intro to me and just like a little explanation of my timeline. And I really appreciate you staying around this episode, and I will talk to you all in the next video. Bye, guys.